The day one in the Mohonk Mountain House, and I'm very blessed, and I'm very it's just an amazing amount of great energy and information, not only by the panelists and the organizers and owners, but it's just an incredible. It's almost like a storm of just good energy, love, peace. And so it's just very, very impressed right now with these young four women, peacemakers. And I have connection of each group in a way. And especially I was very much interested in finding out Bruderhof people because they are part of this Bruderhof Dance Festival the last 2 years. And I was really interested in finding out their way of holding small society and being able to keep the peace. And at the same time, I really wanted to bring in a new generation. So Kasey, I really hope that I can just talk to you later for just having your table in the Multicultural Dance Festival next year. And so it's two other people. But my question is, right now, Japan is right now in a horrible situation. It got struck by 3 consecutive huge-scale hurricane. The hurricane was record-breaking scale, and it was 10 times larger than the time that I grew up. And why it's happening is because of the climate change. The temperature of the ocean water is the bed to make this hurricane huge. So that more than 100 rivers got flooded. And at this point, 64,000 houses were lost. Many infrastructure is not functioning, and it's a horrible situation. And this is definitely not just natural disaster. It's combination of natural disaster and man-made disaster. And so talking about man-made disaster, I've been working to raise awareness of stopping this radiation disaster caused by nuclear power plant and nuclear weapon. And so I'd like to ask all these young panelists, what do you think about this disarmament of nuclear weapons? That's my question. And thank you very much for your wonderful job.
I wanted to include a part about disarmament in my speech, but I didn't have enough time. But one thing my office talks about is what if we took all the money we spend on nuclear weapons and use it to put towards the global climate fund? Maybe we could solve climate change. That's very frustrating, and nuclear weapons, they just sit there. And also there's the issue of nuclear energy. It's an alternative to fossil fuels, but it's very unsafe. It poses a lot of risks for those living around area where there is nuclear energy facilities. So I think we have to end nuclear energy and just nuclear weapons.
That's why I keep talking about education. But what I think, who are the people that are doing that? Because we know sometimes we don't agree with things, but our governments, our countries keep doing things, and that's why this portion of society have power. When I talk about power, I'm talking about money, right? So when I talk about power it's us doing something to not let those people do what they think they can, because all the consequences come to us. If they decide to use it in a war, it's not them that are gonna be harmed, it's us, it's other innocent people. So we need to start working this idea of realize that we have power right here in our hands, and together we can stop them. So that's my opinion about it.
So nuclear weapons, and they pose a threat to humanity on a global scale, and I believe it's essential in informing ourselves about the threats of nuclear weapons and warfare. But I remember being younger and thinking, well, like, I'm so scared, like, what if I'm just gonna my voice doesn't matter, there's nothing I can say or do that can lessen the threat of a nuclear war or weapon usage. But then as I got older and I started educating myself on this subject, I realized there are things I can do, and there are ways I can get involved to help lessen the threat that this poses to the human race and all of the ways that we have incorporated peace into our lives. So I think there needs to be a conversation, and I think there needs to be awareness brought to this subject because it is a humanitarian issue and it needs to be talked about and solved in a peaceful manner and not war or violence.
I'd just like to add, I really appreciate Lindsey's suggestion about not spending so much money on these arms because whatever, back in the 40s and 50s we had enough missiles to destroy the world. How much more so is that now?
Plus the rule of conduct, the law of love. So I'm very aware of the time right now, and we are going to continue this conversation with all of us. Well, we have I see three more.
At least one more question, she's been waiting for a while.
Okay, one final question.
Thank you. I'm Lynn Cherry, I'm a children's book author and illustrator and the producer of the Young Voices for the Planet film series. And I just love the way you have woven together these issues of social justice and environment and climate change. There are some films that are playing in the other room. They're youth success stories, youth solutions to the climate crisis. And one of them is this girl, Jasa, who is 10 years old from Bridgeport, suffered from terrible asthma, no power, really poor neighborhood. And she spoke out at City Hall, and long story short, they were able to get this power plant closed down. And she said, I didn't know anyone would listen to me. I didn't know words had power. And so all these stories are these kinds of stories of the people overcoming the powerful. And our whole history is civil rights and women's rights and everything. So I wanted to invite, we're having, it's going to be a session December 10th at SUNY New Paltz about civic engagement and democracy. And it seems like I wanted to hear from you about whether you know of, Ms. Zuckerman's class sounds amazing, but to actually have this systematized in all the schools in New York State. And we're working on this with the Teacher Resources Center, with getting this curriculum, civic engagement and democracy, climate change curriculum throughout the state. And I'd love to work with you and have you come to the, also this youth summit at the Ashokan Center, which is going to be in February. So my question is, do you regularly go to your city council, your county council to testify about issues? And would this be something with all the young people to actually push for getting this kind of education that you were talking about into the schools, into the system?
Not here, but I do. It's actually something beautiful about my place is that people are engaged in everything. So we have those counseling, you say, right? Those, yes, the city counseling and everything. And people actually are part of it. So yes, we go, we discuss things, and most of the things with the government before and the mayor and everything, they would support us, but now we have a new government, so I've been here for 2 years, so I don't know how it is working right now with the new government, but they would listen to us in all the aspects and bring it to our towns and everything.
see Lindsey thinking, is there, if you wanted to add one more thing, feel free, otherwise I'm...
Sure. Sorry. I really like that idea. I don't go to my city council or my representatives enough because I feel like it's easiest to go in groups, and that's the most powerful way to go. So the idea that a class would focus on that and go as a group, I think sets a message for politicians. So
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm coming away with be fearless, act. And I was just handed this Friends Committee, Congress can repeal the 2002 Iraq AUMF and rein in any president's power to wage war. And many of us are aware that that is coming up again. So we're going to move, we're going to shift now in about 1 minute to the final closing phase, which will only be about 30 minutes together, but we can feel already the momentum in the room to talk about what has inspired us at this conference, what's our takeaway, and what actions will we take. So Philip and I will join you in about 3 minutes, and Masuma, I saw your hand was up. Would love for you to kick off that session. That would be outstanding, and if it's one of these powerful peace builders up here who are going to answer that, we'll have roving mics. There is still food and tea and coffee in the back, so if anybody needs to stretch and get a drink, in 4 minutes we're back for the final session. And thank you to these 4